Welcome to the Soulscape Show, where together we will explore and discover the depth and breadth of your soul. I am your host, Gabrielle Spencer. Today, we will have with us the amazing and world-renowned Meg Benedicte. She is a quantum healer, an alchemist, ascension activator, and founder of Quantum Access, a powerful tool for transformation. She helps clients to quickly shift consciousness, unlock karma, and remove energetic patterns so they can clear out-of-date systems that limit their human experience. For the past 20 years, Meg Benedicte has been sharing these dramatic findings in her private healing practice and with international audiences in webinars, speaking events, radio shows, blogs, and her book, Soul Realized: Unlocking the Sacred Keys of Becoming a Divine Human. Today, we will be discussing living in fifth dimension, ascending into a higher dimensional experience. Join with me to welcome Meg Benedicte. I'm so excited to have you here, Meg, and everyone who's joined us live. Thank you for coming. So today, Meg Benedicte is here with us, and she has offered, right, to be first and to be willing to be the guinea pig in this sort of go with the flow format, which I'm really excited about because I just love when the event and what is being shared is geared towards people that are here and the energy that's being transmitted and what we're pulling together, all of us, because that's so. I want to just give everybody a really quick intro to Meg. I know many of you here know Meg and are here because she's so wonderful. All right, so we want to say that Meg is known all around the world, for her ability to tap into really the cosmos. I mean, I don't know what words we're using anymore, right? It's the multidimensional existence, which is endless and open, and she's able to use her abilities to bring in quantum information, timely information, and as we all know, it's changing. Now, she's written many books, and she has her own healing modality called Quantum Access, and she channels. And soon I want to talk to you about what you posted recently out on Facebook, because it's so timely and so important. So I welcome you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Gabrielle, for having. It's always so stimulating to speak with you, so I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you. You too. You know what I love about you, Meg, is you're real. You know, I have a real affinity for people who just are who they are. I really do. And I just love that about you. You just exude that, you know, hey, it is what it is. Here I am.
Take it or leave it.
Right, exactly. So today, Meg, you're going to talk to us about living in the fifth dimension and ascending into a higher dimensional experience, which is so very important right now as so much is happening, you know, for everybody, and they don't really know exactly what is going on. So if you want to just start there with what you feel is really important at this time to share and to know, I give it to you.
All right. Oh my goodness, where do I begin? Okay, so let's start with 2012, because that's kind of when it really began to pick up speed, and you know, we call it the quickening, the acceleration. But what I've noticed over the last 2 decades going through this process is before 2012, everything was so dense and everything was locked in, and it was just a quick recap. The frequencies on the planet were 7 to 9 hertz. The magnetic field was really rigid and dense and locking everything in. So it was very hard for us to make any changes, any kind of clearings or healings or any of that. And then after 2012, we are seeing that the magnetic fields on the planet are thinning and weakening and opening up. And so the good news is then it opens our field up because we're living in this planetary field. So it allows us to start to do so many things. It allows us to let go of old programming and code and consciousness that was passed down either through the ancestral family or was getting in from the collective field, like the kind of the collective mind or the hive mind. This stuff was getting into us. People were projecting all their stuff into us. And so it was, I'd say in a way, we're kind of like a prisoner of our own field. It was really tough, and it was difficult for us to connect to our divine soul presence, because think of it like if your field is that dense, low vibration, it's hard for the soul to come in and stay in. It's kind of like trying to get a spirit into a rock. It was that hard. And so as the magnetic fields are shifting, we've got all these incoming solar waves, solar flares that are altering the magnetic field, and everything is going up in frequency. We are, the planet is, our consciousness is, it's amazing. So what this is doing is it's allowing us to kind of liberate ourselves from what I call the 3D consciousness, which is very much a polarized field of duality. So you kind of got this push-pull between opposite forces that feels like, you're always kind of in a hinge point between those two opposing forces, and it's very difficult to get ahead. It's very difficult to create and to manifest and to continue your personal growth and progress. So what we're doing, clearing that, getting free of that, opens us up to higher dimensional access. And that's what's happening. We're able to increase our energy frequency, and think of it like this compression is rising, lifting, and we can actually begin to access fifth dimensional and higher knowledge and frequencies and understandings. And it's an actual, finally has come in. Many, many light workers, way showers have been working on grounding and anchoring in a fifth dimensional earth plane. So it's kind of like there's two parallel planes existing that we can choose which one we want to live in. And I don't know about you, but I was like, get me out of this 3D one. I don't like it here. Let's get into a higher earth plane, and it's now available. So there's lots of ways to get into it, to access it. Of course, we have to increase our energy frequency, and it's a heart-based field. So it's a feeling field. It's not a mental field. The 3D field is a mental field. So we're working on opening and clearing and healing the wounding of the heart, especially where, it's called the original wound of separation from our soul presence, from source, from our abundant universe, that feeling like you're cut off and abandoned here. And that created a deep inner core wound that we're working on healing, getting the trauma out, and kind of integrating all the fragments of our human self and really embodying that soul presence. That gets us into this fifth dimensional earth plane. And then, of course, once you start to get in it, you're like, whoa, this is different, right? So it's a different operating system, and we can go more into that, but that was a learning curve. And I think I'm still learning it, even though I've been in it about 10 years and learning how it operates and teaching it for about 5 years, because it's very different. It's moving, think of it, moving from a polarized field of duality into a field, a heart-based field of unity consciousness. And so even how we work with our energy and how we manifest and all of it is all different.
Okay, I want to ask a question based on frequency, because my mind works. I love the scale of consciousness because it makes it really simple to see and to explain frequency.
Right.
So when we're talking about fifth dimensional, is that the 500 hertz frequency for love? Is that what we're talking about, reaching that baseline?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It is the heart frequency. It is 500 hertz or higher as far as what we would call energy waves. But our physical frequency was only about 7 to 9 hertz. So we're trying to, well, we're not at 500. We would be like.
I know, right? It is, this is the quest, is to raise yourself above that 200
right.
threshold, right? And into what I call living on the courage of the heart. That means, right, that you're living not with the, people call it the ego-based personality, and it's where you're more in that divine aligned soul aspect of yourself. Yeah. And it's, I feel like I want to say we talk a good game, but it's tough. It's not so easy. I'm going to share. Recently, I was really upset about some things happening in my life, and my mother happened to call me, and she's like, "Well, what about all that you've done for Mother? I'm the practical spiritualist."
Mhm.
Hold on a second. And that means right now I'm practically mad, and I'm just going to be mad until I can get it out of my system, and then I'll go back to being my Zen self. I'm like, but currently I just am. I'm annoyed, and this is part of that, where we're shifting back and forth. So what is the, hold on a second, what do we do, Meg, to help ourselves not, I don't know, or maybe stay in that higher frequency? What is there something? I'm still looking for it, I think, although, I'm teaching it as we go along, just like everybody. We're all in this together. We don't have all the answers, but just share, what it is going back and forth, like you said, to in between. And what do you do when that happens? And you
It's,
notice it. How do you know?
it definitely is an in-between. You're going to toggle back and forth because you're working with the lower dimensional aspects of yourself. And so those are the 7 to 9 hertz, dense physical energies, emotional energies, trauma, negative thoughts, all this stuff. And as what I did is I watched where it would show up in my outer world, kind of where it was getting mirrored back, and I would continue to just literally lock on where it was running in me, and we're cleaning this stuff out. Okay, so it was like, I call it internal house cleaning.
So one question: what are you cleaning out?
We're cleaning out so much. Okay, so we're cleaning out where, let's say we have a pattern running where we react to someone if they're aggressive, or let's say there's a pattern running where we feel like we can't make enough money, or all of that stuff, right? All of the kind of self-sabotaging beliefs and programs and patterns running that either came in through the past lives, the family, or the collective. I mean, they come in, we're deluged, right? There's all this stuff running, and I'm thinking, where do I begin? So I started watching where I would react. So that would be, okay, if you get, you get triggered and you get pissed off, great, you recognize, okay, that just really pissed me off. And then you start to go, okay, well, what's that mirroring to me? What pissed me off about it? And that's when you begin to see, I felt like they thought they were superior. Okay, then I go right in and go, okay, where do I still have some superior running? And it may be I'm not even aware of it, but let's say my father treated me as superior to me. Okay, I've got his energy running in me, and get pull that stuff out, right? Spin it out. So it's just like all the signs are, getting mirrored to you. Everything that needs, so let's call it just an imbalance. Anything that's out of balance in your field, in your mind, in your emotions, that's what you watch for. You watch for that stuff, and you own it and remove it. And then I found the emotions start to calm down. So the more that you are pulling out your triggers, pulling out these patterns, or there's some wounding, there could have been some childhood wounding. Let's say you were neglected, you didn't get the maternal love and nurture you need. Like, there's all this stuff you're going to have to do some, kind of review, right? We're going to have to review where this stuff happened in the past, and sitting with a healer to help you if you're having trouble seeing it. I think it's tough working on our own, because in a way we're in it. So getting someone to sit with you and kind of be a second pair of eyes, help you, and you own it, and you let that emotion flow out. I say, think of emotion as energy in motion. Let it flow out. You don't have to relive this. You don't, I really don't believe we have to kind of like the traditional psychotherapy. We have to go back and just sit in all of it and relive it again. I think once you acknowledge it, you're 90% there. Acknowledge it. You feel the energy in you, so you can kind of lock your focus on it and go, okay, I really don't like how this feels, and help yourself liberate it. Let it go. And then you start to get lighter and higher vibration and pure. Your field gets purer, more. I say it's like kind of emptying a container, so your container can fill with your soul presence. And the soul is calm. The soul is, really peaceful. So I had longer and longer bouts of just kind of being in that Zen place, that I call it my sweet spot, just staying in my sweet spot and not having the ups and downs anymore, and not getting triggered as much, and even noticing, oh, I used to get really triggered by that pattern, but now I can watch someone doing it and I just don't feel anything anymore. So that's the good stuff. Then when you start to see it getting now mirrored back that you mastered it, right? You've transmuted it, you've gotten clear of it. So this doesn't happen overnight. This is something we are continually working on. But I found it's like peeling the onion. You're getting down deeper and deeper into where this stuff is then really stuck with those magnetic fields, just locking it in and holding it in. And so I found that, of course, I've been dealing with a very patriarchal, authoritarian father. And so that stuff has been years in clearing, as an example. And then I had a new neighbor just move in next door with all those patterns, right? And pushes energy on me and tell me what to do and tell me not to be so sensitive. And of course I was like, wow, right? And so there we go. I'm like, oh, okay, I still have a little more father stuff here to clear. So just be loving and patient with yourself, because we really are removing this stuff. We really are clearing it.
Would you say, I mean, this goes, I think, along with your living in the system of duality and then moving into the system of unity consciousness, because we have a lot of layers of things going on, not just the individual things that are happening, but also the many layers that are going on within the mass consciousness. And as we're all shifting, we're going deeper, we're getting deeper stuff. I think of it like fossils, like we're getting some major fossils out there. So
a patriarch.
Yes. Hold on a second. I just
do that.
Everybody hold on 1 second. I was hearing noise and I muted everybody. I know what I need to do. I need to not let them all unmute themselves. But I lost you, Meg. Where did you go in my list here? There you are.
Okay.
Now you're back.
Right back.
All right. So yeah, it's the patriarchy, but I what I've noticed is, like you talked about, the superior thing, okay? And what I've noticed is that we're no longer just dealing with the limitations and things that we used to think that we were dealing with. Like, it's deeper issues that are coming up, but it isn't just, it's like we're doing it for ourselves, but we are even more so doing it for everybody too. So even if you think you've already done it, right? Do you agree that that's what's happening as well, but in a bigger way than even before?
Yes, and so I love that point you made, because as we kind of transcend duality, we move into unity consciousness. And what that means is then we no longer can kind of disassociate ourselves. We can't compartmentalize ourselves, right? All of us now, all physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, is all uniting as one essence. And we're also starting to be tuned in and entrained with the planetary field or the collective field as well. So as you said, now I pull out a trigger of the patriarchy. I'm helping now clear that out of the planetary field as well. And so it's a dual process now of kind of personal and planetary. And I do believe that's how it was designed, so that as we ascend, we're helping the planetary field ascend, the collective ascend with us. And it's working. I mean, just in the last couple of years, it's extraordinary, the changes that we're seeing now in, out in the news and in the collective, and where people are finally saying, you know what, I actually think we need to be more compassionate. And so it's a great shift happening I think this unity consciousness is permeating the ethers, it's permeating the collective mind, and people are realizing that, you know what, I can't disassociate what's happening, you know, in the Bahamas or in Africa or wherever, you know, we have tragedy, or where the Amazon is burning. You know, these are things now we can't just go, oh, whatever, and, you know, go on with our life, because we're beginning to realize we are integrated with all of this.
Okay, so I want to talk about universal laws for just a minute, because as we are leaving the third dimension, and we're, you know, I don't know where we are. I mean, there are many thoughts on, you know, we're in the fourth, high fourth, whatever. I don't know that it matters. I guess we know when we get there. So.
Well, I experience fourth as time and space, time and distance. It's kind of a basic physics definition of fourth. You know, third dimension is of the, you know, height, width, depth, right? It's the physical. And then fourth is time and space. And then to me, fifth is unity consciousness.
So in unity consciousness and the operating system, what does that look like?
Okay, so since it's not in a polarized, you know, that kind of push-pull, it's not a field of polarity, it's actually a field of harmony, and it's a field of collaboration and community and cooperation. So I find I don't have as much of a sense of energy pushing back on me, you know, and duality. For every forward movement, you get this negative equal push back and a counterforce movement. In the fifth dimension, in unity consciousness, you start getting into this, I call it the quantum flow, and you are able to be out of the limits of time's constraints. You've now evolved beyond fourth dimension of time, and you'll be able to start to access the holographic universe. And this is, to me, has just been amazing, because think of it as kind of a universe of all possibilities. So I always see it kind of like as a kaleidoscope of all these flashing possible futures, you know, possible outcomes, possible creations. And at first it was a little overwhelming, because I was like, there's too much here. I don't even know where to begin. So like, all right, let's just kind of sit with this and be in everything. But it's so liberating, because then you begin to become more kind of inner focused. We're evolving beyond this external ego focus of the physical three dimensions. We're moving more into being more inner intuitive focused, soul guidance focused, and empathing, and really kind of driving our actions from within now. And in a way, you kind of become the center of your universe. Everything kind of arises out of you. And one of the things that I really noticed different is the way we create. So in the physical three dimensions of that push-pull, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort, right? You're constantly pushing against that opposing force, and it takes so much to get anything even created here. And then as you move beyond the limits of time, you start to get into the fifth dimension, everything frees up, everything opens up, and it's not from your mind, it's from your heart and your magnetic fields that wrap around the chakras and the organs. So you begin to actually use your magnetism in a way that I don't believe we couldn't even feel our magnetism in the third dimension. So as you get your soul presence in, that starts to fill in your magnetic fields, your own soul vibration, your own soul consciousness, and your blueprint and your purpose. This starts to, in a way, inhabit your magnetic fields. So now your magnetism is starting to pull in what matches you, matches your soul's needs and desires. And this is when we see the synchronicity sliding in, because you're not having to push for this anymore. You're not having to effort. You are actually pulsing in your soul rhythm and vibration, and your magnetic fields are doing this whole kind of torus number, right? And they're pulling now from the infinite quantum field, right, of all those possibilities. It starts kind of selecting, and it's through entrainment. It begins to lock on. All right, this matches her, pull that in, right? This supports her, pull that in. It's phenomenal. And again, I'm still learning it. We all have to learn this. This is a whole non-linear, non-brain way of working and creating and manifesting in our lives. And the potential of it is extraordinary.
It's extraordinary. So I want to invite the people who are on and have access to the chat box to pop questions from what Meg is saying. What are your questions about what she's saying? Because for me, the first thing that I want to say is, okay, Meg, how do we do that? Because I, of course, have an understanding, sort of, but as you said, I mean, I get the overall gist of how we're doing it, and we're healing, and we're creating that column of light to bring ourselves closer to our soul, and to, I describe it. I'm going to show you. This is a slinky. Can everybody see it? Okay, so that's your column of light, right? And for many people, it's broken and crinkled and all these things, right? And so that's all the healing things we have to do. So
Right.
then, right? And then we get it straight, and then we start bringing it and compressing that light together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, I was given this in a vision when I was giving a talk, and I thought, oh my God, that's fabulous. We all know slinkies, right? So you bring it together, and then this is the column of light, and the closer you get it, the stronger your light.
Right.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
now that we got the visual, they're awesome, these guys, the golden bees, like fabulous. But practically, how are we doing it? Like, do we just keep healing and activating? What's your sense on this?
Right. So I totally agree, because that's an experience that I went through. Is as I was able to, in a way, eliminate the fourth dimension of time out of my field, getting. So this is about learning how to just be in the now. So that's another piece of this, right? You're working with the mind, so don't let it go out in the future. Don't let it go in the past. You're going to hold it as best you can and be really present in the body, in the now. Then time begins to dissipate out of the field. And I experience it as a clockwise twist. So your slinky there, if your slinky is in an anti-clockwise spin, it begins to open that up to the dimensions, eliminate the clockwise compression of time, so that then you begin this, so you kind of go up like you did, and then you begin to kind of stair step the higher divine presence into the physical body. And I do it all with the vortex. I do it all with the spin momentum. It's really kind of training ourselves to use our energy vertically now, instead of how we were in 3D, which was all external focused, which was all horizontally pushing your energy out. You're going to start getting more in your center and working with your flow of life force, your flow of energy, get your soul, they call it Kundalini energy, start getting that really opened up and flowing vertically, and get the clockwise energy out of you. I find it coming out of the joints and the bones. And I mean, it's like locked into the neck, the brainstem and all this stuff. So we get this out of us, right? Anti-clockwise, we keep working it out. And then, especially, of course, getting time, that whole linear time construct, it's artificial. We have to get that out of the mind, and it frees you up. And so then you notice I would have to go really high to connect to my higher self. And then over the years, it's getting closer and closer. And then one day, boom, that higher self merged with my lower self, like the higher mind and lower mind just went boom. And I was like, what just happened? And it basically, as you did with the slinky, it was the elimination of time and distance. And the two really started going into unity consciousness and merging, higher mind, higher dimensional mind and lower mind, soul, and the physical self, the human self. So we're starting to bring all these pieces of ourselves together, like you did. Slinky is pulling it, like we get very contained, right? Everything coming in.
Solid. The light is solid.
Yes.
Whoever thought of light being solid?
Yes.
But okay, so we're on the same page as this.
Yes.
That, all right, this is our goal. And so basically what we've all been doing is continued process is what you're saying, in order to get to that space where there is no
distance, no distance.
The polarity part, you know, where every time we make that step forward, it seems like there's something equal force to pull us back. And then we strengthen ourselves, of course, by being able to go forward again. You know, it's that great, exciting process, which I know when you say we're done with the 3D, I think that's the process we're all done with.
Absolutely. And you kind of think about it, what is time? Time is, you know, the measurement from point A to point B. That's distance, that creates distance. So we're starting to eliminate that distance as we eliminate time from higher self to lower self.
All right, so we have somebody wrote in, Kim wrote in, "Hi Meg, thank you, I love this. I meditate and create that torus and open up to the field in my heart. I'm doing all the clearing and self-reflection, and I feel like I'm bridging into 5D, and I'm now focusing on elevating my thoughts to be a vibrational match to what I desire. That's the part I feel like I'm still struggling with." So it's struggling with creating a vibrational match for what she desires. So your thoughts on that to assist?
So again, it's if you are continuing to bring in your soul presence, the kind of the thoughts now will begin to be coming from within you, from your own soul presence, and not from the human self or the ego self. And you can feel the difference because they're very much vibrationally different, and they're usually focused different because the ego thoughts are all about me, me, me. So you begin to kind of parse that. You begin to see, all right, that thought didn't feel like that was from a higher vibration. You know, it didn't come from a higher expanded soul essence. So you start to kind of clean out the mind. There's so much clutter in that mind. So you're cleaning out what we would call more of the ego consciousness, the ego thoughts. And I also had to kind of work with that essence. It's a presence. I think it's our shadow presence. And what I was guided to do was kind of, when you really feel it, connect to that ego presence and go, okay, dude, you don't get to be in my chakra pillar, all right? That's the home for the soul. So we're gonna move you out of it. And it went kicking and screaming. So it really showed me, okay, this is really a shadow presence. And I moved it in a way behind me into the aura, into all the light coming in so that I could transmute it. Like, let's get this shadow presence into the light. So we're starting to transform it, and it needs to follow the soul in the chakra pillar, right? It needs to follow the leader. It needs to follow our soul, moving us from the heart center into the world. You know, on our path, the soul is moving from our heart. So I don't listen to too much thoughts, really, to be honest with you. So it's really more of feeling, oh man, I'm really feeling compelled to go do this or call this person or move here, and that was then everything starts to get really quiet. We're moving into what's called 0 point, and so that's the no magnetic vacuum state between these two opposing forces. We're starting to go into unity consciousness and live in 0 point, where, you know, the mind just gets pretty quiet, and that might kind of freak people out at the beginning because they're very addicted to all this drama, right? That's again more of the external focus of the ego. So getting in this, why meditation is so important, because we're really literally retraining ourselves to be quiet, to still all that, and then you're doing two things. You're listening to the heart, where the soul is pulling you, guiding you. And then as the higher self and the lower, you know, higher mind, lower mind starts to kind of really connect, you know, from the beginning, I had to go up fairly high in my channel. Your chakra channel, it's a neural network that goes all the way up to the higher self that needs to be opened up. And then you can be like a transmitter receiver, and you're starting to send out questions. Okay, this is for my highest good. You know, do I need to go do this? Is this where I should, you know, put my focus, and these kinds of things. And then the receiving comes back in, and you can feel it maybe as an energy surge. That's usually how in the beginning that I would feel it, just kind of like a tingle energy surge coming in, that it was a yes, it was a match. So if you're getting thoughts, check to see how your sensory body is responding to those thoughts. Is it energizing you? Does it feel nice and warm and yummy? Then it means it's resonant with your soul presence, your soul vibration. If it doesn't, if it's kind of like dead, flat, or kind of like, ew, I don't go near it.
Okay. A lot of great stuff there. I hope everybody's taking notes. Because there's something very important about the being in alignment with your soul's desires.
Yeah.
And when we're in alignment with our soul's desires, our focus isn't on needs or desires at all. It's about asking to be shown what your soul's desire is, and that you do in the meditative state. And so that might be something that makes it easier for everybody to do, is to just, whatever it is, it's not about what our mind thinks. It's about putting yourself in that place in alignment and asking for your soul to show you, basically. And it will come in as a feeling, or do this. I mean, I've had some things where, I have great stories, as I'm sure you do, Meg, where you go, something comes in and it's completely opposite of anything you would do, or it's something like one time, the day before, I had just said I wasn't going to do it for like 4 months. And then the next day it was like, do this. And I thought, okay. And I did it. And then the most amazing events occurred after. So it's about just getting out of your own wants, needs, desires, and how you think things should go, and putting yourself in that open heart space of asking your soul to guide you to what's in your next highest and best, basically.
Yes, and I think another piece to that too is when we get into the now. So the now is 0 point. We get into the now. The ego doesn't exist in the now. So that's why meditation is so great, because you're going to get quiet and still and just very, you're noticing the body, you're noticing the room, you're really in the now. And then, that brilliance can just slide right in. So because the ego isn't present, it's not going to fight it. And then you'll get a clear spiritual guidance.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question, and then we're going to tie it into somebody who has put a question for you in the chat, because I think that they're going to be congruent. Okay. So recently I read a Facebook post of yours where you were warning that you had received guidance not to go into a portal that others were advocating was a positive portal to go into. So I just want to launch you there. And then before you go to that, we have somebody who wrote that they have a friend whose husband suffers from massive depression and is currently undergoing electrical shock therapy. He doesn't seem capable of pulling himself out of this. Could it be shadows or entities that reside in him? And is there anything family and friends can do if he doesn't or isn't capable? And I believe that the Facebook thing and this and the energies that are happening now, please take it away.
Okay, wow. Okay, on the question, just in response to the question, it could be multiple things. So you'd have to kind of meet the person or, tune into the person, but it's depression usually is a sign of disconnection, right? The soul isn't in, the person is not connected to their divine essence, their power. Our souls are power. And so it could make them feel hopeless and disconnected. It could be, brain chemistry imbalance. I mean, there could be lots of things. And yes, it could be entities that are draining that person of their life force. Because there is, this whole 3D matrix is a parasitic system. I mean, we need to just own that one, okay? It's a parasitic system. It means because we've all been disconnected from our soul essence and from our universe, our divine source presence and all of that, we had really only other choice. We had to go out externally and feed on the external energies. And so everyone's feeding on each other's energies. And this is a huge problem. This is what we're all having to unlearn. This is where we're moving from kind of parasitic energy vampiring into unity consciousness. So I'm thinking that's probably some sources of the depression. There's, we could spend a lot of time on that. So I'm just going to now shift over to the warning I got. So I've been working since at least 11, 11, 11. What is that? Like 7 years ago. Every month, doing some kind of Stargate Global meditations, activations. It's part of my soul's work. I kept finding, before I started, I kept finding myself kind of time jumping into the Source Stargate at the Galactic Center, the Great Central Sun. This is where I work very closely with the Council of 12 Tribes of the Great Central Sun, and they've been with me this whole time that I've been here, 25 years working. I came in as a walk-in 25 years ago and working with them in Metatron very closely. And so these stargates are getting more powerful, and they are helping us. They're helping our ascension. They're helping the planetary ascension. They're sending in really powerful photonic gamma light codes since our planets moved into the gamma photon belt there at the galactic center. And that's what's helping pick up the speed. That's what's helping accelerate everything. Now, and usually when I try to kind of stay out of all of this. I try to stay out of the fray and just do what I'm here to do. But once in a while, I'll get such a pestering from my higher self that's like, it won't let go until I do whatever they're asking me to do. And it was like, okay, you need to just post a warning. People, of course, have free will. They can discern, but just post a warning that you were warned off from this gate. And so that's what I did. And I got all kinds of interesting responses about it. And it's again, I think what's happening is because we're moving back and forth between 3 dimension and 5th dimension, we're really going to have to be on our game with discerning what is for our highest good, what resonates with our soul purpose and our soul's energy, and what doesn't. And we're also unique. So some may and some may not. And that's where we can't just kind of get caught up in the big public wave of this and really start to just ask, is it for my highest good? Does this work for me? Does this resonate with me? And so that's why I posted the warning. And there probably could be future warnings coming through when I notice certain things that are just really kind of a big no-no. I did post another one last month, I guess it was, about how I'm starting to see light workers claiming to insert light codes in people or in articles or in treatments or in meditations and these kinds of things. And that was another big warning bell, because that isn't in alignment with the 5th dimensional law of sovereignty. So we're having to learn how, again, as I mentioned, we're coming from a parasitic earth plane, the 3D earth plane, and we're moving into a sovereign plane. So this is where we don't invade each other's energy fields. We don't enmesh them. We don't insert stuff. We don't let anyone insert into our field. And it's really learning how to be really respectful of people's fields and their boundaries. And because all of us are really advanced divine souls that have come in with very particular code and blueprint for our mission, for our purpose. And having others insert stuff into our field could really mess that up. So that was another warning that I had gotten as well. We have to keep an eye on that.
So what about codes that you might be unwittingly exposed to? How do you protect yourself? How do you know it's happened? What do you do?
Well, it's a good question. So you can just always, if you, let's say you work with someone or you join a group or you watch a YouTube or however it starts, even, opening a newsletter, I just kind of set an intention that I only connect to whatever is for my highest good and resonant with my soul vibration. And so you are in a way setting a parameter before you engage with whatever it is. And that way then you're getting very selective, right? You're getting very selective. If something got in, and usually you're going to feel uncomfortable, you could start to feel sick, because in a way it's not compatible with you. It's throwing off your body's coherence. I find if someone's trying to kind of enter the field or attaching or whatever, I start getting very irritated. So once I begin to realize I am really pissy, what is going on? So that's another warning for me to just scan and you know, I just use the vortex and pop them out and like, no, you don't get to do that, and just maintain. So in a way, we have to maintain our space. We have to, you know, hold our boundaries in place. And if you're feeling someone is pushing on you, especially at solar plexus is our power center for our will. This is where it should be our divine will. But if you feel someone's pushing their ego will on you, it's like, that doesn't feel good. So listen to your body. Your body's telling you so much. It's giving you really so much information. And when you are feeling out of sorts, feeling ill, feeling, you know, irritated, that could be a sign that someone is trying to push in.
Okay, or that you've been exposed to codes that don't resonate with you. Or
yes.
So through YouTube's videos, you know, whatever it is you're listening to, various things that happens. Now, I wanted to talk to you. I was reading your bio, and you have a book called Soul Realized: Unlocking the Sacred Keys and Becoming a Divine Human. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder what that information you have in there. I know that as our frequency rises, we begin to understand things deeper than even what you had written. And I'm just curious as to what evolution of that information do you feel has happened? I know, I like the good questions, man. I like the tough ones. I want to know how energy is changing for you. Like, where do you see where you were when you wrote that, and what it means differently now?
Yeah, this is no softball questions here. Okay.
No, because, you know, I know for myself, I still have that aspect where I love all the woo answers, but I really want to know what's happening and what it is I need to do to assimilate it within myself. And when I hear other perspectives, you know, like even when you and I are talking, it's like we may have it like swimming out here, right, in our mind somewhere, but we haven't put it together. We haven't pulled in all the pieces. But when we have a conversation like this, that's my purpose for doing it, is so that people get that kind of, they can bring the pieces together. And I find that the ego mind fights less if it understands at least a small part, right?
Definitely, because I wrote that book in 2009, so it was before even the 2012 shift. And I was doing a radio show on the World Puja Network, and so I was just drawing from the material from that show and kept hearing, you know, my higher self, yeah, you should put this in a book. I'm like, okay, I've never done that before, right? So it was, the title of the show was The Mysteries of the New Earth. And it was really trying to kind of what we're talking about now is putting into words, what is this new earth? You know, what is 5D? This is all new in 2009. People weren't even talking about 5D. So that would be the first thing, is gaining a better understanding of the dimensional shifts we're doing. And I focused it mostly on what I had to go through to just get to that point of even being able to access the new earth, which is the 5D field. And it's, of course, the biggest, longest chapters on the ego, clearing and dealing with the ego. And also since then, so that's 10 years ago. So since then, I understand more about the geometries of what's happening within us as we are advancing. So being able to really understand more clearly the Merkaba Taurus and how that is our multidimensional energy light body that's opening up and activating. I didn't have that in 2009, and because the magnetic fields were so locked until after 2012. I also had it felt like when I was able to access into the new earth field, the fifth dimensional field, I look around and I'm like, there's nobody here, what have I done? You know, and it's like, oh my God, I'm like all alone here. And so way different now. I mean, there's so many of us in it now. It's so exciting. And also to in a way, it was so new to me. It was more of just kind of getting into the pulse of it, right? The vibration of it. But now, of course, 10 years later, I have so much more of an understanding because I've had to be in it and learn it and understand it, and it's how it operates. So the book, the premise of the book was, it started when I kind of, in the early years that I had my awakening, I found I would go into meditation and my soul would kind of circle around and drop me into these other timelines that I had experienced here. And one of them was way back before the, what we call kind of the genetic reengineering of the human double helix. And so I was able to watch and get this sensation and this I mean, it's just stuck in my head. I'll never forget it, of how the human, like we'll call it like the beta human or whatever, you know, the kind of the original humans operated with 12-strand DNA, and they weren't thick and dense, right? They were kind of this beautiful morphing field, responding to the consciousness that ran through them. And so we want to get back to that, right? We want to, in a way, transcend or transform the physical genetic code to start to be more consciousness driven. And so that was what started, that's what I call the keys to becoming a divine human, is really to be able to start to shift away from patterning running us, you know, and program running us, and 6 generations or more of genetic code that we're locked into. And we open all that up and we free that, and we start to become these, like, we become alive, like our soul, our cells crystallize, and we are literally morphing conscious beings. So that was kind of the start of the book.
So are we closer?
Yes, of course we're closer. Yes, yes, yes.
And when I was going to ask you a question earlier about how the universal laws change as we move to a higher frequency. Do they change? What changes about them? Somebody asked me recently how the law of attraction, does it change? Are the universal laws different? Are they another frequency? You know, whatever.
I really didn't think the law of attraction worked in the 3D field of ice forces. I mean, whoever wrote that, you know, put that all out there made a lot of money, but you know what? I didn't see it working because I felt like I kept hitting this counterforce pushing back on me, and I didn't feel like my magnetism, the law of attraction, could work until I got into the 5th dimensional earth plane. And so I don't know. I never felt that the laws changed. I felt our capacity to live in them changed. I don't think the law of sovereignty even exists in the 3D field. In a way, it's kind of a slave mentality, a slave a system. So I think it's more of as we rise higher and we transcend these lower dimensional systems, we get into, you know, 5D and higher, because we're not stopping at 5D. The earth is going to 5D, but we're opening. We can open it as high as our soul can go. And as we get into these higher dimensional realms, that's when I started to feel and sense the universal law was very present and very active and alive. And like even like the law of compensation, you know, being able to have a balanced exchange with others. We don't have that in the 3-dimensional field at all. It's all about take, take, take. Let me see what I can get from everybody, and, you know, make a deal and all this stuff. And there's no one's honoring a balanced exchange. And so I think it's more of, as we get higher, we actually start to live and experience those universal laws.
Okay, I agree. That's awesome. I love the law of attraction never worked in the 3D. But it has propelled us to go searching for how to make it work. And I think the answer here is, it is shifting your consciousness to that of the soul versus our 3rd dimensional, 4th dimensional consciousness. I mean, it is about moving to that higher existence, and then it shifts the perspective all the way around, I guess. So I think that's cool. So I know somebody has raised their hand and somebody wrote in a question. So here's the question on the chat box. Melissa says she totally agrees. Fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I don't know I've known anybody brave enough to say the law of attraction doesn't work in the third dimension.
I had that on my book cover 10 years ago.
Did you really? Oh my goodness. I've not seen your book cover, but that's fabulous. I love it. I love it because it's truth. And the truth is that you have to raise your frequency to make anything work. Otherwise, you are stuck in that heavy, think of it like the mud pits of the prehistoric era.
Right.
You can't get out of them.
I also think, if anyone has listened to Esther Hicks and the law of attraction, she could just say, okay, here's how it works, and she'd be done. But no, she's having to try to get everybody into their hearts, right, and raise their vibrations. Just she has some understanding that it isn't happening in a polarized field, that you do have to transcend that to make it work.
That's the most important part. That's exactly right. Okay, so the question from Angela was, we listen to many attunements, clearings, etc. on various shows. We also get to know about various dimensions, and what are the signs that we are on the wrong path?
Wow. Probably nothing's working for you.
That's a good one.
It's just a mess. So it's not in order. You're experiencing counterforce all over the place.
Right.
Your health is deteriorating. You don't have any connection with your soul presence. You're attracting in predators. You're not you're in the matrix, basically, is what I'm hearing. You're not in your own pillar of light and your own sovereignty on your path. One of the things that they have me do, and it really has helped. So it's again, we all get to choose. We're in a free will zone. So you get to choose where you go. So one of the things you can do is just every morning I get up and I ground and I say, I'm locking onto my soul's ascension timeline. I'm on my soul's path of light. And that way, then if you're not, it's going to become very obvious and you're going to start trying to pull yourself over, like you're jumping tracks, and get on your soul path. So you use your will, you use your intention, and then you look for anywhere that would be trying to hold you on the wrong path. And that stuff, ding, 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 spin it out, get rid of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to be willing to let go.
Yes, you do.
And you have to be willing to let go of what you think is the answer, which that mind part, that is the hardest for any of us to do. Like, we get in our minds what we think the path is, and that's what we want to do. And we have a harder time just letting it go so that we can let the soul really come forward and deliver for us. Now, I know that I just saw somebody's hand was up and she went.
If it's not working for you, it should be easier to let it go.
Yes, right? You would think so, but sometimes I think that it's the mind thinks that they know exactly the best way.
Well, that's the ego.
I mean, but you reason it out, like the logic. I mean, you hear it all the time, and I'm sure that there are key words. And this is what I like to do. It's like, what are the words that you're saying over and over? Those are your key words. Those are your scimitars. Like, well, it could be that, but it's like, if you have a but, you already know that your mind is trying to overthink what is going on energetically for you, right? So there are many things that people need to look into, like when they're thinking to themselves, what are you saying to yourself? And are you trying to out-reason the signs that are coming in? Recently, in fact, like I told you, I was really ticked off the other day. And it was really funny. My husband's been traveling for the last 2 weeks, and I called him up and I said, okay, the signs are really in. It's obvious now. But it wasn't that I was asking for signs. It was just so funny because it was just, you get to the point where, okay, I don't need blinking. I don't need flashing. I get it. So that's the point, is that you get to that place where you don't fight it. You just realize, okay, that is what it is. All right, now Shirley, you had your hand up. Would you like to speak? I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, Shirley.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you. We can't
Okay,
see you.
but you've been,
We can
I
hear you.
know you've been going in and out a little bit, so I didn't know if you were going to be able to hear me or not. Anyway, I love this show, and I've loved following you, Meg. I wish I was your neighbor.
Me too.
There's so much you know that I want to know. It's like I would be knocking on your door all day.
Oh.
The thing that keeps coming up for me is when some of you talk about the crystallines in your body and the platonic light. I'm still wondering how that all works. Could you put a little more into that?
Sure. Great question. So we have, we're born into this physical body that's carbon-based. The cells are carbon-based, and coming together and forming the tetrahedron and creating physical matter. And then, of course, we've got this time compression, squeezing all our energy into particles, creating a physical matter. And so as we start to unwind that, so again, that's what I'm encouraging everyone, get into the anti-clockwise spin. You're starting to kind of unlock the magnetic fields, open up your cells, and then we're receiving all these transmissions of the galactic light. It's photonic light, it's high frequency, and it's transmuting the carbon cellular makeup to start to shift to crystalline. And it's a slow, gradual process, because again, as we mentioned when we started, if that all came in at once, we'd probably explode. So it's coming in, and we're in this amazing transformation from real dense carbon to crystalline cell. And so you may be experiencing purging. I mean, we're purging the density of the carbon out, and way past menopause, but I'm having hot flashes all week, so you're like burning this off. And as this gets cleaned out and as it's transforming, think of it like it's in the, in the refiner's fire. Your cells are beginning to upgrade as well. And so we get this light infusion. They're coming in, boom, 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 wave after wave. They're coming into the body, and I do it in meditation. I breathe light in. So that's something you can add, Shirley, if you're not doing it, because in a way, think of it like an extra meal. We are transforming from living on dense food, dense emotions, all of this external stuff, to start to live on the light. The light's going to be our fuel, and in a way we're transforming into like photosynthesis, where we are going to be living literally on light. Those crystalline cells will be able to metabolize it and convert it into energy for us. So it's a gradual process, and it's happening now. It's in process, and when you work with it consciously, it can even pick up speed. You can get to it further, but I would just caution everybody, because we're decomposing that density, the carbon density. If it gets too much on your body, back off and just let your body catch up, because it's not easy. It's a lot. You think about it. We're converting from physical carbon-based bodies to crystalline light bodies. That's like crazy, but it's amazing. So I would keep working with the light, Shirley. So that is part of the transformation happening.
Okay, we've got lots of questions coming in quickly. So Susie's asking, let's say we're shooting for hitting or staying in that fifth dimensional frequency as much as possible.
Yes.
How do you get things to move if the other people around you are still running in the 3D? What can we do, and what can we do to get our body to accept our new crystalline body?
All right, so there's this is again kind of the law of sovereignty, where we're respecting where everybody's at, and probably most of the people around us are still in 3D.
Yes.
And so there's the challenge, as you brought up. So it's especially if you're doing any kind of collaboration or partnership or any of that kind of thing. I do a couple things. One is I use the infinity figure 8. This is such a powerful sacred geometry, and you can run an infinity between you and someone else and start to create just a harmony between your fields. You're trying to kind of create a meeting point, right? A mutual receptive point between the different vibrations. One maybe is really high, one is really low. I found, though, as the more that you are in 5D and the more that you are converting your magnetic fields to your soul code and consciousness, your soul essence, that outer world, it's a holographic universe, you guys. That outer world's responding every day to us. So the outer world starts to change. Things drop away, people drop away, projects drop away, and then the new comes in. So I have like all new faces practically in my life. I was yanked out of Los Angeles and moved to Mount Shasta in 2012. Talk about having to let go. I was really fighting that one. And being able to trust that your own soul magnetism is bringing in those who you'll be more resonant with, more compatible with, and be able to be quite successful partnering with or creating with, and these kinds of things. I find that I can't even socialize much. I am not as comfortable going out into the lower energies. And so I'm way more of a homebody now, because it's just, we're in between phase right now. So I find I spend time with the select few who are working their fannies off just like we are, and they are really heart-centered, and we just are able to be in a really respectful space with each other. And so I think you might find it gets difficult being with those who are really invested. That's what really is the key. If they're really invested in 3D, you're not going to be compatible probably with them.
Right. That's where we have to let go. I mean, this is the hard part. It is hard for all of us, especially if it's loved ones, family members, and such. And I love that infinity. I always say to send light from your heart to their heart, asking for the light to come in. But I think that I love that infinity. So we do that, and then you have to still be you're in charge of your own light, basically. And that has to take precedence, I think.
I had to walk away from family. It got to a point where, they were rageaholics, and I just had to say, until you can come into a space of love with me, don't contact me. And it was then you would have to go through the mourning and the grief and the letting go again of those who are still really invested in living that way. You try to talk to them about it, and if they're showing no sign of wanting to hear it, then there's your answer. You aren't able to collaborate. It's going to be very difficult to do it.
All right, so the next part of that question was, what can we do to get our body to accept our new crystalline body? Is there energetic or physical supplements? What can help you make the adjustment and assimilate it?
Yes. So the as you're shedding the carbon-based density, think of it like, your soul blueprint is turning. The more you get your soul in, your soul blueprint's turning on, your soul code is activating. So this is your own, let's call it your galactic ancestral lineage. This is your divine code, has been waiting for this for a long time. So your own soul DNA code is starting to activate, and to supplement it. And just like Katie wrote, chlorophyll and silica, those are really important. Silica is so important to being able to metabolize the light into the cells. And you can get it in, you can get it in supplement form. You can drink lemon lime water. You just start helping the body metabolize that light in. You can do, I take salt baths every night, so I'm helping to detox, because we're detoxing, okay? You can do cleanses. You can use zeolite to get the heavy metals out. We got to get that out of the body. So everything that you can do, trying to think about vibration. Whatever you're ingesting in, is this high, clean, alive vibration? Is your water alive? Are you eating live foods? Try to kind of pull out the dead food you're eating, because that actually drains your energy. Eating more live foods, fresh food, and I soak up sunlight as much as I can. Just feed the light into your body, meditate, bringing the light in. And you can also, it's called the master cell, and it's in the center of the brain. It's a hologram of all of our code. And think of it like just a big fat cell full of all your code. It's a hologram. And I move the light in there to continue to help flesh out the hybrid code that we want to clear. Any disease codes you want to clear, it's, and then activating the dormant soul code that is firing up your crystalline light body. So it is a conversion, right? Slowly, gradually decomposing the dense carbon one and then activating the other one to take its place. And it's, I don't know how long this is going to take, but I tell people I have about 85 to 90% of my soul in. If I was 100%, I would just go into light. So we're going at a pace that's keeping up with the planet and with our soul blueprint, and we can't pretty much go any faster than that.
Right. Okay, so Pat has a question. Let's unmute them. Pat, I've unmuted you. Go ahead and ask your question. Are you there? No.
She's not here.
Now we're going to lower his hand. All right. All right. So we have, Susie says, thank you for the great information. All right. So would you like to take, somebody else has asked, you can see it on there. Do you want to just make a quick, we don't have to go through the whole thing, but she's asking, I feel there's a connection to fasting and past thoughts about why do we need to eat here? How can I create homeostasis in my body now as I begin solid food again without harming my physical form? So she's been fasting and doing deep work. Wait, something happened to you. I swear. I'm going to get so good at this. It'll be amazing. You have to come back at the end. You're on. I don't know why I can't hear you.
Okay. Let's go back to 0 point real quick. So everything that we ingest, we want to bring it in a harmonic resonance with our soul vibration. So the more that we're in the now and we're in 0 point, that means we're in a balanced state. And so what I do with everything is I kind of like wrap my arms around, let's say it's a trip I have to take or it's a project I'm doing, and this could also be your food, just kind of bringing the energy of it into your center 0 point so that you're in a sense tweaking it and adjusting it so it is in a harmonic resonance with your own system and your own energy, and then everything that you bring in is coming in at a harmonic flow. Anything that is not harmonic, you can again set your intention that is it's not accepted in. So this way then you are always maintaining that balanced state. Think of it, the balanced state is between the two opposing forces. So the more that we stay in that 0 point balanced state, everything runs smoothly. I can feel like when I do a project, or let's say I do a trip, I literally lock onto the moment I leave to the moment I get home, and I pull that whole journey into 0 point in me and my field, because we're holographic beings, so we can create any way we want this way. And it just goes boom, 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 and comes right in and gets into a smooth flow. Anything that was out of balance just kind of gets spun off, and you keep your life this way. You keep everything every day, everything you're involved in, be it what you eat or who you're meeting up with or any activity, everything, your home space, keeping everything in that 0 point harmony, and it just really improves everything.
Okay, here's a quick question, because I'm trying in my head to see this. So are you wrapping like the infinity symbol to 0 point to bring it all in? How are you setting that up?
So I run the infinity at my center, and right in the center of the infinity is the 0 point state. And again, you're using your right brain, your holographic brain, and you're visualizing, let's say the trip. Okay, I see the whole trip, and I'm pulling it into the center of the infinity where it's coming into that 0 point state.
Okay, perfect. That's great. And I think Pat wrote in, so I think that if you take what you just said and we're applying it, because we have a lot of things going on out there. We have all sorts of wireless, infrared, all sorts of, 4G, 5G, everything from satellites being beamed all over the place. So we have a lot of things, and that would be one way of protecting our energetic field in general as well.
Yes. Yes, and to add to that, so we're converting from dense carbon into plasma. We're all evolving into more and more plasma energy, which is, it's like what we see in a lightning storm, right? It's all electrons. It's just really alive and vibrant, and that's what's coming to us from these galactic waves, lots of plasma coming in. And so the more that we also use that, so I set up, we can all kind of just do it together. We're going to just set up plasma shields all around the outer boundary of your aura. Think of it just kind of like a big orb of plasma shields to block all of this harmful radiation. And it just comes down at your feet on your path. It moves with you. Ooh, there we go, just locking that in. I just visualize it, every day, make sure I got, my container and my plasma shields in place. And also the other thing they had me do was, in a sense, lower down a Faraday cage into my plasma shields. So we can do that too. I mean, this is like, it's fun stuff, you guys. And so it's just you working with your higher self, working with your team, and we're lowering down and in. And it's just inserting into the plasma shields. Whoo, I love that stuff. There goes the Faraday cage coming in. And that also, of course, is helping to protect your field from harmful radiation. But yeah, we are getting bombarded.
That is so awesome. I recently got the Faraday cage, and I am infusing with the golden ray. So I love that when we get whatever we're using and we get the same information. It's fantastic. I love it. All right. I know I always call it the other side, because I don't know how else, right? How it's hard to give it real names. But I always find it amazing how even when we all don't talk to one another, we're all getting the same information, and in a way that we can understand it, and how we're using it with our own gifts. And that's what everybody needs to remember. We're connected.
Yes.
And we're all sharing the information energetically simultaneously. I mean,
that's the unity of consciousness. Yes. And it's very confirming too. When everybody else is like getting it too, like, oh yes, okay.
Yeah, right. I'm plugged in. Yay!
We're on the same page.
That's right. We're on the same page. All right. So Pat was asking, is the frequency causing my lightheadedness? I ground every day. So what are your thoughts on that?
A couple of things can happen with lightheadedness too. You might be rising up a bit. And so one of the things you can do too is maybe do some yoga or Pilates and get yourself down into your root chakra, kind of drop into your hips and into the pelvic floor and into the root chakra. I find when I'm working with someone and they're all of a sudden going, oh my God, I'm spinning, vertigo, lightheadedness, I see they've started rising up. So that would be one thing. So if you're locking your feet and grounding, and I'm glad you actually brought that up, Pat, too, because we don't want to ground to the 3-dimensional grid anymore. That's the 7 to 9 hertz grid, folks. We don't want to do that. So you can also, with your intention, visualize and ground to the 12-dimensional crystalline global grid. It's here and it's available to all of us now, and it is a lifesaver. So that's your foundation where your feet and your path are locking onto. And that way then, I do that every morning. So grounding is so important. I can feel too where, if you're getting the lightheadedness, I start to get really spatial. I'm just like, whoa, I'm in too many dimensions right now. And so I have to go, and I go into the woods. I go along the creek into the woods, and I hug my big sequoia tree, and I like really lock in and get back down into my root, kind of drop back down in and get rooted and grounded.
All right. Would you like to do another? Because you just did one. I know you did. It was great. So would you like to add anything else as far as what you are seeing in the energy trends, what you're being guided about, if there's anything else you want to add, and if there is any little zippity doo-dah you want to do as well.
Well, I think since we're kind of focusing on 5D, why don't we do a few little steps with 5D energy, especially too, since people are asking about crystallizing, so we can help bring in a transmission for the crystallizing of the cells. Why don't we start there?
Great.
Okay. All right. So we've been talking. Let's kind of come down from the brain and the mind, and we're just going to get into the core center of our body. So just kind of take a couple deep breaths, and we're coming inwards into our heart, into our breath, into our solar plexus, getting into the core center of the body. We just talked about grounding. So imagine that you're locking your feet chakras like magnets. We're going to lock it right onto our paths of light. Those link up. So the light of your feet chakras link to the light of the path. And then go one level lower. So you're extending the light from your feet into the light grid. And this is crisscrossing ley lines all around the surface to kind of the upper crust of the earth. It's the higher planes. Okay, there we go. We're just locking on. And so getting centered. And then I work with Metatron and use Metatron's cube. It's right behind me, Metatron's cube. And we're going to go ahead and implement that under your feet in your grounding. And you're going to step in the center of it. So it's made of 12 circles, and we'll step into the center, 13th circle. Okay, there we go. Everybody's lighting it up with your energy. And it starts to go anti-clockwise, and so we've been talking about that. We want to get out of time, so let's get those circles rising up as pillars of light and begin to rotate around the body and the aura. Anti-clockwise spin momentum. And here we go. Just breathing into it, doing your best to visualize it with your right brain. We're using our right brain to do this. And this is a feminine vortex, anti-clockwise, and so it's starting to expand the aura. It gets bigger, so just allow yourself to open up. We're unlocking the dense magnetics, unlocking time, unlocking gravity. We're just allowing everything start to expand and open, and as it spins faster and faster, we unlock those time barriers. Whew, there we go, and we're starting to expand all the way out to the quantum level, into that infinite abundance, the holographic universe. Whew, there we go. And as we get into this expanded state, let's work with our energy vertically. So we're going to come inside into our chakra pillar, and we'll start at the root base, root chakra. We're still using the anti-clockwise spiral, and so imagine you're spiraling up your channel. So we're going up the chakras, we're going up the dimensions, and we're going up in frequencies till we get all the way up to the highest frequency of our higher self, up at the top of the channel. So all the way up. Whew. And as we get into this higher dimensional realm with our higher self, just make a connection, because this is what we lost. So I always do kind of like a heart-to-heart bond, heart-to-heart connection. And this is with your soul presence, your God self. Whoa, there we go, linking up. And then we're going to reverse. So we are using our energy vertically. So now imagine that you're this open receiver, and you're going to breathe down and in, spin down and in, your soul presence, your higher self coming more into you. It's coming in as golden light in your sound waves, your tones, your harmonics. So you're breathing down and in. Soul light, soul love, soul essence. There you go. Down and into the chakras. Soul presence, soul consciousness. And just allow it, just like liquid light, just flowing down to your root. You're feeling it all the way down to the root. Whew. Good. And then we're opening and filling these hearts of ours, because it's so important to get into the fifth dimension. So big heart, filling with soul love, soul light, soul essence. And it builds and expands, and it's like starts to grow like kind of like a big sun in your chest, in your core center. Now, as we're working with our divine presence now, so this is, we're helping the body get adjusted to embodying our soul essence, our soul presence, our soul light, our soul energy. So let's bring a stream of soul light into the brain and into the pineal. So you're just getting a nice strong stream. This is think of it as a transmission coming down from your higher self, your soul light transmission, your light consciousness. There you go. And we're going to bring it into the pineal. It's covered in microcluster crystals. So think of it like a multifaceted diamond is just filling with your soul light right in there. Woo, there we go. You might feel it tingle and it just fills in and it's coating you and it's activating more of your antenna. This is your pineal is your antenna to your higher self. We use crystals in our stereos and TVs. It's an amplifier. There we go. Whew. So we're starting to work on like dialing our antennas, internal antennas onto our soul light stream. Just like you're dialing to a radio station, right onto your frequencies, your soul frequency there. So if you're feeling like I can't really pick it up or tune in, this is how you do it. You literally point your antenna inwards to your soul light stream, your sound waves, your tones. Okay, that's just locked. Now, we also want to get our soul consciousness into our right brain. We've been all left brain dominant. So let's also run a nice transmission of light and we're going to flow it into the neural pathways in the right brain. This is our psychic brain. This is what we used to visualize. It's also our multidimensional brain. So here we go. Anywhere we have like dormant neural pathways, lighting them up. Breathe your light in, direct it in. Woo, there we go. Flowing in, turning them on. We've been using very little of our right brain. We want to get this all turned on. We want to start using both brains equally. Ooh, ooh, I can feel that. That's excellent. And you can do this anytime. Now, final, let's get our light transmission, soul light, soul consciousness coming into the third eye chakra. So let's flood that third eye with soul super consciousness, light flowing in. Imagine it's like the window to the universe. You're lighting it up. Ooh, that's going in. Ooh. And you may actually start to feel energies releasing. So as we flood the third eye with our soul light, our soul consciousness, let's now use the vortex momentum and we're going to call up, flush out, spin out any veils or barriers or blockages or blinders in our third eye chakra. We command up and out, spin out, and there we go. Let it release. It may be multiple layers lifting, and the vortex will take it to source light. Transmute it all to light. Woo, there we go. We want that third eye to open up and be active and helping us see into the other side, the non-physical world. Now, we're learning to use more of our heart brain. And this is what gets us into the fifth dimension. So let's also use the sacred geometry of the tetrahedron. This is so powerful. And this is, crystals are made of tetrahedrons. And so let's do an inverted tetrahedron where we're linking right brain, left brain, heart, up to right brain, left brain, heart. We're creating a lines of light linking right brain, left brain, down to the heart. Whew. So we're bringing them all into unity consciousness to start to use them as one, like cosmic brain. So you're including your heart's empathy, you're including your sensory body, you're including the holographic psychic right brain, and then the left brain is our physical world. So there we go. Oh, they're all starting to link up. And again, we want them in the soul vibration. So you just brought in soul light, soul sound waves, soul frequencies, your soul vibration. So again, let's set the command to update and align our heart and mind with our soul pulse and rhythm and soul vibration. There we go. It's starting to shift and you might actually feeling it go up and higher frequencies. Whew. But we're getting them in coherence, heart and mind and soul vibration, soul frequencies lining up, syncing up. Woo, that's a good one. There we go. They're elevating higher, and this is going to help you get into the fifth dimensional earth plane. Whew. Getting more of your soul pulse and rhythm into the magnetic fields wrapped around the heart, solar plexus, wrapped around the chakras and organs. So imagine like your soul light pulsing outwards into the magnetic fields. Ooh, there you go. Whew. We all have to dial it up. We have to get the lower body spinning faster so it can start to pick up that pulse, that rhythm, that frequency. There, that was good. That was a good upgrade. Coming into more resonance with the soul vibration, soul frequency. That is then your own magnetism draws in what matches your soul frequency. Whew. And then finally, let's do a quick adjustment where we're grounding. We want to ground onto our soul's path of light, onto our soul's ascension timeline. And so just make that as your command. That's your intention. If you feel like you might be jumping over to a higher vibrational path, just kind of pull over. Your heart, your soul will pull you on to your soul path, onto your ascension timeline. Okay, we're making some adjustments. It's higher. You're starting to rise up and onto it. Woo, there we go. And as you begin to get more centered on it, let your feet magnets lock onto this higher vibrational path of light, your soul's ascension timeline. And just get your legs steady there. All right, there we go. We're adjusting. And typically when we do a big rise like that, our body starts to drop the lower vibrations because it can't come up with us. So you might feel like weight dropping off you, or just spinning off any lower energies, lower vibrations, any density that cannot come with us onto our ascension timeline. We bless it and let it go, and just spin it off, release it off. Ooh, it's just like dead weight dropping off the body into source light. Good. Ooh, that was a good release. And that way then you're able to feel more comfortable in this higher octave, higher bandwidth. Getting up into these higher energies that are alive in the 5D earth plane. They're alive in unity consciousness. We're rising out of duality. We're rising out of the polarized fields. We're getting up in these higher frequency fields that are feeling fields, heart-centered fields. They just pulse with compassion, unconditional love. Just breathe that love into your heart. This is Divine Mother, Father love. This is your soul love, your soul family's love. Just breathe this beautiful, supportive love into the heart. Oof. Our capacity, our heart capacity just gets bigger. Our container gets bigger. More and more love, more and more light. And then even moving that light into the cells, starting to dissolve the density, carbon, just starting to light up, crystallize the cells. Ooh. I just went into 0 point again. Nice, calm, stillness. This is how it feels. It's just very calm and peaceful and smooth. Everything's running in order, flowing in order. There's no more polarity here. And as we get into this beautiful state, we're spinning it inwards now, taking it inside us, grounding it in, merging it in. This is our true state in 5D and higher, in 0 point harmonies. Whew. And there we go. As that takes hold, grounds in, merges with us. It's updating in the RNA and DNA. Whew, that ripples through. Whew. Locking in. Becoming one with us. Oh, feet locking it in on your ascension path. And that completes our quick activations for today. And so it is. So it is.
Take a deep breath. I felt like I was in an airplane. The pressure in my head actually was changing, and I could hear it. And as you were doing various things, and I thought, this is like what you feel when you're going higher in the airplane, and your ears pop.
That's right.
So that was pretty amazing. I had a whole lot of physical sensations, and I'd love for people to share so we can share with Meg and with our community at large. Let us know what you felt and how you feel now. That was beautiful and really tighter. I thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I thought, well, that was certainly quick. They really jammed a whole lot in here.
We're moving at hyper speed now here.
It's going to get faster. I keep saying this, but I don't know that we totally understand that anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I get people complaining all the time. You're talking too fast. You're moving too fast. You're spinning too fast. No, actually, you need to get your frequency up higher because then it will feel very comfortable. So just keep spinning, getting higher. Everything's higher.
That's your message. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep doing everything, everyone. I thank you so much, Meg, and I'm sure that everyone on this call thanks you for your time and your energy, your beauty, and all that you have shared with us today, because it's just so awesome to connect with you, and I thank you.
Thank you, Gabrielle, for having me on. I'm thrilled. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
That's right. Everybody, we send you much love from our hearts to yours, and we thank you for being here as well and participating and sharing your energy and creating this beautiful space as we all have just gotten a huge boost. So integrate it, take the time, be gentle and kind and loving to yourself and to others. Much love, everyone. Thank you, Meg. Thank you for joining us. Meg has a free gift for you. To learn more about Meg and to get her very special gift for you, go to soulscape.tv/Meg-Benedicte, BENEDICTE/. I hope you will join me next week for another live episode with Maureen St. Germain. Namaste.